This is episode 319 of Jumblethink.
T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Jumblethink, where we interview dreamers, makers, innovators, and influencers all about their journey of turning their dreams and ideas into reality. Along the way, we're going to share some tips on how you can turn your own dreams and ideas into reality too. Our guest on today's show is David Lee Jensen. More about David in a moment. Whether you're a new listener or a longtime fan, if you've never subscribed to Jumblethink, head on over to your favorite place to listen to podcasts, search for Jumblethink, and click that magical subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode of Jumblethink. Now let's jump into today's conversation. Hey there, welcome to Jumblethink. My name is Michael Woodward. I am your host, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Today's show is being sponsored by our friends over at Floxy. Floxy is your source for a monthly subscription to great graphic design, web development, and video editing services. As a listener of Jumblethink, they're going to give you 10% off your first month. All you have to do is head on over to Floxy, FLOCKSY.com/Jumblethink. That's Floxy.com/Jumblethink. Our guest on today's show is David Lee Jensen. David is the CEO of CR8 Entrepreneurs. He's a best-selling author and a speaker. He's a 2-time best-selling author as a hiring expert who says the people you choose change the trajectory of your business and your life. After quitting his day job as a president of a company he had grown to over $2.5 billion in client sales, Jensen has launched 3 successful startups. He's a Fortune 50 speaker and hosts a conference to share his passion of helping get new entrepreneurs started as authors, speakers, coaches, and online marketers. This is a super fun conversation because we are talking about how coronavirus is impacting the event space and conferences. We talk about some real practical tips on how you can turn the concept for a book into a book, and it's really step-by-step. He walks through a simple formula for that. And then we hear a lot about his story and how he's built his success. It's a fun conversation, so sit back and enjoy our conversation with today's guest, David Lee Jensen. David, thanks so much for being on Jumblethink.
Thanks for having me, Michael. I'm really excited to hear where you're going to take this.
Well, first off, let's just kick off with the obvious. It's quarantine time for us in America, and where are you hunkering down to ride out this chaos that we are facing?
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah.
I'm in Miami, Florida. It's like a balmy 75 degrees outside right now, and I've already been for a run and workout, and we're braving the storm.
There's a lot of uncertainty, and I think that's what people are struggling with. You're facing that in your own life with the conferences that you create, with the business that you run. How are you facing that right now?
We obviously ran into a huge stumbling block, which was the fact that we had the CR8 Your Future Conference, which helps aspiring and existing entrepreneurs learn how to become authors, speakers, coaches, online marketers. And it was scheduled for next week. March 27th and 28th in Phoenix, Arizona. And we have, Joe Polish and Clayton Mask and Tim Story and Bradley and all these huge names, Steve Sims, all the speakers. And I had to postpone. I have to put it off because we can't have these huge public gatherings. And so 600, attendees and 20 speakers all just got put on pause, and that is really unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's got to be hard for you because part of your strategy for your business is that outlet. How are you kind of pivoting in this time to adjust for the holes, the gaps in what you do?
Well, I think on the immediate basis, I'm just getting online, offering content, offering advice, helping pivot into entrepreneurship and transition into entrepreneurship if you are, in a day job or having a day job force you to go home, or unfortunately going into layoffs, which I've had a few people call me and say, wow, they just announced layoffs and I'm going to be losing my job.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I understand, my worry about my conference and helping others and people, but some people are actually, losing their entire livelihood. And that's a concerning time. For us, we're just giving content, doing Facebook Lives, helping advise people, helping them come up with ways that they can start business online and, move into the entrepreneurial path, even though they're being forced into it now instead of just doing so by choice.
Yeah, and I think that the choice that we're all facing right now is that there is that unknown. What if this all collapses? And I think that the reality that we have to come to is you can't control what you can't control, but what you can control is to move past that fear and step into possibilities. How can I really focus on adjusting my strategies or taking that self-assessment, like what is working in my life, what isn't working, and making those pivots. Maybe they've been in a job like you're talking about, they're facing a layoff. Maybe they've had an idea or a dream that they've wanted to chase, and now is a great time to really focus on, okay, I've got some time and there's not anything I can do. I can't really go anywhere. I can't do anything. What can I do with this to start setting up for the future when this all ends?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we always advise that you become an author, a speaker, a coach, an online marketer. And that's just taking an idea or a concept or a purpose that you have and something that you feel that is an idea you want to share with the world, and then just putting it into a sequence, putting it into a pattern. Mm-hmm. People can learn about anything by just Googling it.
Yeah.
But when you bring your personal experience and your personal, passion to it, it just becomes a whole new level. And I think there's a lot of ability to share knowledge because people are home and, they can either binge Netflix or they can, get online and start learning something.
Yeah. I know for me, one of the things that I've been doing is simply I've been taking some of the evenings once the kids are asleep and that kind of thing to work on projects that I've wanted to work on, but I've been putting off projects that were more for us than for clients. And now I'm like, oh, I can fill this in here. I want to step back before we go too much further into this conversation and hear a little bit about your story. So talk to us a little bit about how you came to create your future, and that's CR8, the number 8, Your Future Conferences, how you created that, how you ended up in entrepreneurship, because you didn't start there. So how did you get there?
I was born a couple blocks from Fenway Park in Boston. And
that's a hard life.
It was for a long time, man. Let me tell you. I was over 40 before we won a World Series. So
that's true. Good point. You doing okay with the Brady fiasco of whatever's going on with him?
The Red Sox lost Mookie Betts, Tom Brady, and the St. Patrick's Day Parade all in the same month.
It's just not fair, is it?
It is. Well, and I just moved to Miami from Tampa Bay. Okay. And so now it looks like Brady's going to be in Tampa Bay. And I'm like, wow, we could have stayed there and gone to games. Anyways, life moves in mysterious ways. Yeah. And when I was 40 something, we were down 0-3 to the Yankees, and my two little kids were like, we still got this, Dad. We still got this, Dad. And I was like, oh man, you have no idea. And then we won, and then we won again, and then we won again, and then we won 4 in a row, and then won the World Series. And then we did it again 2 years later. And my kids are like, Dad, what's the problem? Like, the rest are the best.
They'll never know your pain.
They'll never, ever know the pain. Anyway, so there's the backstory. So I decided, screw it. I'm going to become an entrepreneur. No. Yeah, my story started, there's a long, gory details of I was an abused child and, really looked into how do you choose the right people in your life? And now, one of my big quotes is the people you choose will change the trajectory of your business and your life. And I really believe that. And we've heard it from, everybody from Napoleon Hill to Grant Cardone of the people you surround yourself with. But I believe that it's a fundamental truth in business and in life. And so I wrote a book I had run a big company that I grew, and we did over $2.5 billion in client sales in the banking industry. But I didn't own it. I was just building it and, creating the culture. And so I stepped away into entrepreneurship so that I could own something. Wow. But I applied those same principles and started with writing a book, The Naked Interview, Hiring Without Regret, and then building that into an online course platform called the Hiring Academy. And that really was my test and my first success with entrepreneurship. And I've done, 2 others since. And now I really believe that everybody should do that. They don't have to, but boy, if they only knew the freedom of, I'm sitting in, my home office right now. And, like I said, just got back from a workout, being outside, and, really have control of my life, and I'm able to create my future.
Can you look back and see a spark moment where you're like, this whole thing of building businesses for other people isn't a good model for me. It's not a good model for most people, where they could be building their own wealth instead of building the wealth of others?
Yeah, there was a moment where bonus checks went through, and the difference between a 7-figure bonus check and a 5-figure bonus check was quite large. Wow. And my and I were like, yeah, we're in the wrong game right here, right now.
All right, so you end up doing this. How did you find the thing that was right for you? You're creating these conferences, you create these courses, you've written some books. How did you find the pattern, the rhythm of entrepreneurship that fit for you?
I don't ever believe that, I think Joe Polish said it, as either he or Dan Kennedy said, if you're the smartest guy in the room, then you're in the wrong room. And I really took that to heart and just went out to see what are others doing. And I went to Brendan Burchard's Experts Academy, and I went to Joe Polish's Genius Network, and I went to all these different events and things to see, okay, what are other people who are doing successfully, not only for themselves, because, there's the whole laptop lifestyle and the side hustle and the, make money while you sleep. However, I really wanted to, especially getting a little older and having my kids grow up and be gone, off on their own paths now, it was like, how can I impact the world? How can I create, something that's going to help others while I sleep? And that really then unlocked, okay, good. First I have to write up my hat, for lack of a better word, the job description and function of hiring. And that's why I wrote the book, and that's why I created the course. And then now I'm done with that, that sells and that's helped people. And I still, speak on the subject, but I was able to kind of turn that over to the world. Good, here's my quote expertise in the area. And then, then I looked for, well, what else am I interested in? And I realized, I also have a responsibility to the graduating college students in high school and the transitioning military, and helping them go out and find and land the right job, which is why I wrote the second book, Hire Me or Else, How to Land a Job You Love. And that course platform was put up so that it was like, okay, good. So I've helped business owners learn how to hire the right people to the best of my ability. I'm sure they have other, methods and systems they can use, but at least I've given my, my worth in that area. And then did the same with interviewing. And now I really hit that point where, what do I want to have as my life's work, as what's most important to me to help others? And that was helping others become entrepreneurs. And that was the birth of Create Your Future.
Why these specific groups of people? What was it that drew you to these specific people to serve?
I think just because they were like me, I think there's a lot of people out there, and I don't think I'm stretching too far with the assumption that people are in a day job. They're punching a clock for someone else. They're doing a lot of hard work. Sometimes they have a culture where they get validated or they get rewarded for that. But I see so many who say, I'm just sick and tired of this, or if I could only blah, or I have a dream that one day I'll blah, all these things. And I just say, look, get it started on the side, work, out what the program's going to be, launch it, And then when you start to see that it's going to surpass your income level at your day job, get on out, take the leap, have some faith in yourself, because that's what it's going to take, and get your partner too. I mean, my wife is my business partner.
Yeah.
And she's all in. If I were doing this without her, it would be one of those things of like, oh boy, are we going to be able to eat this month? Because there's definitely a lot of ups and downs in, the profession of entrepreneurship. That I'll tell you.
Yeah, I can relate to both of the things you're sharing there. I see so many people, and I talk to so many people who are like, oh, I hate my job. I have this dream. I have this idea, this thing I want to start. Maybe one day. And they just keep putting it off. They keep wrestling with it. They keep feeling like a cog that is dissatisfied and displaced in the reality that they should be living in. That really frustrates me that so many people go, well, this is the way we're supposed to do it, right? This is what we're told we're supposed to do. And so they kind of buy into this lie of there's only one model of adulting in the business world. You go, you do your school, you get into a good job. Maybe you laterally move from company to company and hopefully move up vertically. And then you're just kind of grinding it out. And then one day when you retire, you can go do whatever you want. That seems like a stupid way to live to me.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, we have to, it's funny. This has come up in podcasts the last couple of days, something that I don't usually talk about, but you're leading right there again too, which is what's with our education system in the schools that they don't teach you how to balance your checkbook or how to play the stock market or how to start your own business or, any of those things. I really think it begins there, and we have to start really making entrepreneurship not this, this far-reaching thing that only crazy people do.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there's so many people who are entrepreneurs but don't consider themselves as entrepreneurs. I was sitting down with LeVar Burton on the show a couple months ago, and here's this actor who's huge, and he's like, well, why would you want me on a show that talks about ideas and dreams and business? And I said, well, it's more than that. You're an entrepreneur. You are running your own enterprise. Like, you have to go get gigs. You have to go get the different spots. You control your image, your reputation, your message. I'm like, you're an entrepreneur. Yeah, you might be an actor, but you're so much more than that. I think that we need to redefine entrepreneurship a little bit. We definitely need to redefine education and how we approach teaching people ways to really build the lifestyle that they want, the lifestyle that's going to sustain them.
100% agreed.
For you, you make this pivot out of the business world and into entrepreneurship. And typically we ask something like this in the rapid fire questions, and we'll do it again. But I really feel like in this conversation, it's important. You're teaching a lot of people how to step into those dreams. I want to be an author. I want to start a business. I want to do whatever, XYZ that is for that person.
Right.
There's a lot that you've learned from experience of doing it, trying these different models, trying these different outlets, teaching other people strategies, and then hearing strategies from people who speak at your events. And so there's a lot you've learned over the years of doing this. If you're looking back and you're talking to that person who's going, well, I want to write the book. I want to step into being a better boss. I want to step into these things. What are some of those tips you'd give them to really process that shift for them that you wish you would have known when you started out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the first thought I had when you were talking about that, like, what about the people who are hesitating, or I should do this or I should do that, or how do I start? I think Gary Vaynerchuk has said it best, which is just do it, just start, just go, just, rock and roll, just stop talking about it and start. And I think that, everyone tries to line up, and he talks about this as well, line up everything in perfection. Like, oh, well, I can't, release the book until the cover is surveyed with 1,000 people, and then that the font is the exact, and all this like perfection, rather than just getting the knowledge out there, getting the content out there. And, and I kind of reframe it into the fact that, like, look, if you got hit by a bus tomorrow, have you done all you can today to share your knowledge with the world?
Mm-hmm.
it's just that important, right? You know, because unfortunately with silly things like, what we're dealing with right now in coronavirus, like tomorrow's not so guaranteed, right? I'm definitely not one of those doomsday guys, but it's an unfortunate truth that, you may be told, please don't come into work tomorrow. And then you got to go, what am I doing with my wife and with my life? And boy, I really should have started building that and should have this and should have that. And, so I think the best advice is like, the Nike slogan, just do it.
Yeah.
Start.
Yeah. Love that for sure. The other lie that I think many people buy into is this lie of safety. It's a lie that is, if I go get the job, it's going to be secure. Now, I'm a 38-year-old guy. I've lived through September 11th. I've lived through the recession. I'm living through coronavirus. It seems like this is something that we need to break. Like, hey, just because you're an employee, or hey, just because you have what appears to be a secure life, nothing is guaranteed. And I think that that's a great motivator for taking these risks to say, maybe I don't leave my job, but maybe I write that book that shares the ideas, the things I'm processing, the area of expertise that maybe that person does live in. So talk to us a little bit about hedging your possibilities, because it sounds like you're saying you don't have to be all in necessarily on starting these things, but you can start it while you're doing what you're doing now.
I'm a 51-year-old guy, and I've lived through all those things and more, including not having cell phones. Okay?
Kind of wish we don't have them now, but that's a different thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know what a pager is. I don't know if you do.
Oh, I do. Yes. My dad had two.
There you go. Yeah. I had a text pager even. But anyways, so, and that was somebody's invention. Somebody, decided what the heck. But just so you know, like, I didn't write my first book until I was over 40.
Wow.
And didn't start, my first, like, I had my own business. I was always of the entrepreneurial spirit. And then just while my kids were growing up is really that time period where I took the day job and kind of took one for the team to make sure that I could always provide for my family and had a stability, which, nowadays that's not the same, stability. And I can't imagine what would have occurred, if something like this happened 5 years into my, day job rather than, 10 years after being gone from it, right?
Yeah.
So I really do think that it's one of those things. If just get started now, at least do the training for it. At least do, a couple online courses on how to become an author or how to self-publish to Amazon or how to find a publisher or how to create an online course or any of these things. And you don't just have to come to, Create Your Future, or you don't have to come to, there's plenty of sources out there. And I believe that everybody should take that, at least wade in the water and check it out for themselves.
As we wrap up this first segment, there's always 3 questions we ask. The first one being, how do you find purpose in what you do?
How do I find purpose in it? The purpose really ignited when, the personal purpose, like I told you, was because, wow, I want to own something. I want to have something that at the end of the day, we are responsible for 100%. Yeah. And not the effect of someone else. Mm-hmm. But the real purpose began when I sold my first online course, and we opened up the PayPal account and saw there was money in it. And we were at that time, we were actually in Hawaii for a conference. And it was wow, we made money while we slept in Hawaii. Wow. It's cool. But the purpose really ignited a few days later when I started getting emails from people who were completing the course. And they were like, wow, this is going to change my business. Wow, thank you so much. This will change my life. Wow, and at that point it was whoa, what am I onto? And that was really impactful, far more impactful than the, $197 or whatever, the course was. It was the fact that I was helping others and I was helping change lives. And, Since then, I've traveled military bases around the United States and helped transitioning soldiers, and I've spoken on college campuses and helped, students who know that their job prospects, only about 14% of them are going to land, a job in the field that they studied in. And, you start to just have a little bit of a higher calling when you're helping others and really helping change lives. And I can never turn back from that now. It's the people I serve come first and foremost, and then everything else. And it's been pretty successful now.
What is one challenge you're currently working to overcome?
Coronavirus.
That seems to be a common thread lately on shows.
Answer number one with no lag. I think really it's like, do I need to obviously I'm going to do some sort of online summit and some sort of, virtual, delivery to make sure that we still serve the people with all of the great community we've gathered with the Create Your Future community. But I think the challenge is the technical know-how, how to do that, Okay, good. How do I, put 500 people on Zoom, and how do I, charge for this and, this, that, and the other. So there's technical challenges, I think, would be my immediate answer to you.
And what's the next big dream, idea, or goal that you're working on?
It's successfully launching this so that we can continue to hold the community together and serve the community, and know that I really want to see others created from our movement. Like I want to see the next Tony Robbins, the next Grant Cardone, the next, whatever come out of our group, out of our training, out of our movement. I want to help others succeed and kind of go, yeah, I helped him along the way or helped her along the way. And I'm really excited to see them succeed.
We're going to take a break right here. And when we continue, we're going to continue the conversation with David Lee Jensen. Hey there, it's Mike, and every day across social media channels everywhere, I see the same questions being asked. Who should design my next website? Where should I get a new logo design? Hey, I need a video editor. Who should I use? And these questions are hard to answer because every project is unique. But there's a company out there that is there to help. Their name is Floxy. Floxy offers unlimited projects by a vetted creative team for a flat monthly rate. Video editing, graphic design, copywriting, web design, and more. They can help you. And they are constantly adding new categories where they can help you in the future, too. Their project managers are US-based, giving you same-day responses and 24-hour turnaround on most requests. All that with a simple, fixed monthly price. But you don't have to take my word for it. One of their clients, Florian, says this: Floxy is that missing component for my business that I wish I had always had. Dealing with freelancers on sites like Fiverr and Upwork is time-consuming and a very hit or miss. With Floxy, I get one point of contact for all my work, and they are quick to respond. Their work is high quality and on point. Overall, it is much cheaper and much better to use Floxy than anything else I've ever tried so far. So if you're ready to get the design you want, if you're ready to have the next website built that you need, or maybe that video edited, Floxy is there to help. And as a listener of Jumblethink, they're going to give you 10% off your first month. All you have to do is head on over to Floxy, FLOCKSY.com/Jumblethink. That's Floxy.com/Jumblethink to get 10% off your first month. And by the way, that comes with a 14-day money-back guaranteed. It's time to stop waiting for perfect design and to get your projects done. So head on over to Floxy.com/Jumblethink and start getting your projects completed. Now let's return to today's conversation. We are back with David Lee Jensen. Before we get going, there is a lot of cool stuff that you're doing, even in the chaos of this. You are creating new content, you're sharing thoughts, you're giving tips, you're on Facebook a lot, you're doing a lot of Facebook Lives. How can people find and connect with what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, the simplest way, like we all do nowadays, is to just Google David Lee Jensen. I announce everything on my Instagram page, which is at David Lee Jensen, and on my Facebook page, which is David Lee Jensen Fan. Most recently, and for this current scenario we're in of, quarantines or not, and, the pivoting future, we created a Create Your Future community, which is CR8 Your Future community. CR8 is kind of like our create monogram and logo and, trademark. But in that community, I'm going to be giving away a lot of free content. We looked at, okay, let's give the outline on how to write a book and some real support and real accountability. So if people want to get started on this venture, they can definitely come in and join the community. I'd love them to promote that they heard about it on your show as well. And we're going to be promoting your show. And I do believe that we just need to all kind of help each other make it through this by educating each other with the skills we have and the knowledge we have. And then something right will come out of it. I think you just kind of give into the universe something positive and it's going to come back around. So that's why we're going to just start giving away the courses that we actually set up the event to, sell and deliver. We're going to just start sharing them with the world so people who are, quote, locked up inside can get to work and really enjoy something besides watching the news.
Yeah. Turn off the news if you're listening to this.
Please.
It's just not worth it.
Could we just spend the rest of the show saying, turn off the news, turn off the news, please turn off the news, go for a walk, turn off the news. No, don't watch that. Turn off the news.
Yeah. And for those people who don't know how media works, media makes money by getting eyeballs on the content they're creating. And so they're going to hype this up and take and leave the good things that are being told and take the hard things and pump that up. It's just the nature of things. So turn off the news.
Please. I think if people turned off the news for 2 weeks, they would be like, oh my God, the world's an amazing place. All my problems have gone away. When really nothing changed.
Yeah. Usually every day I'm getting outside for a little bit, going for a walk maybe, or going to the grocery store with the hope of that one toilet paper or the magic piece of gold on the shelf, And people are incredibly kind right now. I mean, even if it's shouting across the lane to your neighbor and just saying, hey, how you doing? You don't have to go, give them a hug or anything if you're scared to do that. But, you can still have a conversation with real people across the way, wave,
oh man. Yeah, it is. And and it's funny because you just mentioned on the break, like a week ago, we would not be having this same conversation, or 2 weeks ago. And truthfully, like I did a podcast with the real Brad Lee, the CEO of Lightspeed VT, and he does the Dropping Bombs podcast.
Yeah.
And I did it on Sunday. I can't even remember now. The time has gotten so jumbled, but it was a Sunday. It was either last Sunday or the Sunday before. And literally, I told him, I said, he was like, so are you considering, canceling with this, new scare of coronavirus and blah, blah, and I was like, canceling? The show will go on. We're not afraid of something that's, 1 millionth threat as the flu. I mean, blah, blah, blah. And I just went off, and literally in 48 hours, I had to postpone the event.
Oh, it's so crazy. I was supposed to speak at an event in New York City a week and a half ago. And the guy that puts on the event reached out, and he's like, so, we're at 85-90% tickets sold, and we're getting emails of people pulling out, people saying, I'm too scared to travel to New York City. And I'm just going, what's wrong with this? People are overreacting. Maybe they're not. Maybe I'm just naive. It's just possible. Yeah. But it was so crazy to see how people reacted to this and how rapidly things changed in the conversations along the way. It just, I mean, I'm 38. I've never seen anything quite like this. And I don't think even people in their 90s are saying that, there's this guy in Italy saying, he's in the the store getting pasta, and he's like, "Where's the pasta?" He goes, "There wasn't this much panic in World War II when the Nazis were coming for us."
Oh man. Yeah, it is definitely it's definitely a different world right now, for sure.
I want to continue the conversation we started in the first segment to an extent.
Okay.
From the standpoint of, we are talking about that this is a great time to maximize your time to set up a new future, to step into the dreams, the things that you have. And we talked a little bit about education and how we learn in that process. You have some great resources. You're launching some new great resources. You're giving away some content that you were going to share at your conference and all of that. I want to talk a little bit about the process of how people can get the tools in their arsenal to maybe write that book, to do that. So talk to us a little bit about unique ways in this season that we can be educating ourselves to take those steps and start those dream projects that we've had on hold.
Yeah, and I think that's really terrific. And if we look at the last, half hour or whatever, it's unfortunate that our attention, just like the news, gets pulled into, hey, what about this coronavirus? What about that? And that's a reality and a truth that, we have to acknowledge and we have to be sensitive to, and we have to, it's everything from, condolences all the way down to I understand, and like you said, saying hi to your neighbor and remaining. I think if we can all remain positive influences, that's really important. However, life must go on. And so I think that I would love to just share some, raw content, right? Yeah. So for somebody, so that they don't just turn this show off saying, hey, it's just another conversation about coronavirus. No, This is a conversation about your future in business, because guess what? This is going to pass. And then are you going to be prepared to launch? And are you going to be prepared to start impacting the world in a positive way with the subject area that you have a passion for and that you love? And can this be the opportunity that you start building something at home and really, get involved as an entrepreneur? I mean, this could be it, right? More millionaires were made in 2009, after the 2008 crisis, than in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
And they were forced into it, right?
Yeah. Our business thrived most, and we launched our business in the recession.
Right.
In 2008. And those were some of our best years, because when other people are pulling back, if you can push into that, if you can really strive to come up with the strategies, the plans, the ideas, the things you're sharing, now you are ready to rock and roll. And when things turn around and people are like, hey, I need that, you're there just going, well, here I am.
That's right. That's right. And I think a way for people to do that, and I'll share this, I'll shoot this over to you as like a PDF or something that you can do a download in your show notes, or you can direct them to the Facebook page where I'll post it as well. But I'm going to be starting to share some of our, originally paid content for, like where we have like an academy that trains entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I would say is to know that if you've got an idea, if you've got a mission, if you've got a purpose, to know that even though you think or assume, oh, well, everybody knows that or what have you, don't ever do that, because everyone's got an individual and unique knowledge base, right?
Yeah.
So when you have an idea or you have a skill or you have a talent that you want to share with others, whether it's from like how to plant tulip seeds, for maximum growth, or whether it is, how to shine a powerboat's, hull for maximum, velocity or what have you, like whatever it is, or how to sell something on Amazon in a unique way, or how to, speak on a stage, or whatever your talent and skill is to realize that to codify it, to put it in writing, is to really make it true.
Yeah.
And to make it available to others. That becomes a book, whether that's an ebook or that is a paperback book or a hardback book or a, just a Kindle publishing or whatever. That becomes this fancy business card, and that attracts attention. And where you can attract attention, you can attract clients, and you can attract, people to help, and you can also attract money.
Yeah.
And maybe you won't make a lot of money on books. I know I haven't really. But the relationships that are created by putting your ideas into writing and by creating a book, that's why I call it a fancy business card. So I'd love to give just a couple bullet points on how I create an entrepreneurial book, because I really think if that's your listener's next step, it's not as difficult as it may seem. What do you think?
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, good. The first thing I start with, and some people say I'm crazy because they're like, no, you do this afterwards, blah, blah, blah. But I always start with a title. I at least start with a working title because I've got some cool concept in mind, and that always just transpires as a title, right? And people go, yeah, but then how'd you come up with the naked interview? And I'm like, well, okay, that really did happen first. And it was because of the other definition of the word naked, which is like the real raw facts, the real, stripped away truth, right?
Yeah.
And it was probably inspired a little bit by Richard Branson and the Virgin companies. I thought that was kind of neat that attracted so much attention.
Yeah.
So you start with a title like, knitting for juniors, or millennial knitting, or, whatever your concept is, right? Wow, can you imagine? I'm going to go buy that website, millennialknitting.com.
I have to say, years ago, I had consulted for the Small Business Development Council, and I had done some classes, and there was I don't remember exactly what the technique is, but I think it's like cross stitch or one of those. And this person, it was a millennial, had launched a website with patterns and with information on and resources. Here you can download your patterns, you can buy patterns, here's where you can get resources, here's how you do it. And she was making serious money by doing it. So you may think it's crazy, but there's probably a niche there, and somebody would love that.
Oh, most definitely. I forget what the company was, but there was some website that I was trying to buy, and it really fit my exact, pattern of operation and such. And then I looked at the site, and somebody had taken that concept and turned it into a doll clothing company. And I was like, really? This is like a big business name, Anyway, so the things that happen with regards to that. So I always start with a title when I'm looking at a book, just because it's a working title. It keeps the end in mind. And then step 2 is right there, the end in mind. I always proceed with the end in mind. I always look for, at the end of the book, and people are going to close it and be like, wow, that was a great read. Are they going to just say, oh, that was good, and now move on to the next thing? Or are they going to be inspired to take some action, to buy something, to do something, to create something? What is that next step? And I always think with that first, and I kind of outline that out so that I know the whole book is now leading towards that. You see?
Well, and I think what's interesting about that, you're the second person in 2 days that said, think of the end in mind. Zach Thomas, who is on the show, he runs a Chick-fil-A franchise, and he speaks on employees and building team members and all that kind of stuff. Really cool stuff. Anyway, he said the same thing. And what I shared with him is there's actually a Greek or Aramaic or Hebrew word for this. It's from my Bible study years. I should go find out which language it was. It's acharit, which means to think of the end and to build from there.
Wow.
A little side note there for you.
Now, can you spell that for us, the acharit?
Achriet, I think. I'd have to go back and look, but
nice.
I think that's the English spelling on it. It's been a while since I've looked at the word, probably a year or two. So
that's awesome. Okay, good. I like it. Yeah, that's how I always, I go from the title to then the end in mind, because you want to serve people. And so if you're just telling a story, then, write a fiction book, But if you're going to write a business book, then you should have some, start, change, stop, a purpose in it. And so then the next step is to work on the now, the then, and the in between. Where is your reader's perspective of where they're at now in life? Who is that audience, and what challenge or, trouble are they facing, or problem that you're going to help them solve? And then where are they going? And, and then of course that goes to the, the end in mind, right? And then I break it down into chapters. Like, okay, good. The first step is here is the problem. Here's what I do to solve the problem is maybe 3 more chapters. Then et cetera. And I just break it down into chapters. And then I write a sentence or a paragraph for each chapter. And then I turn the paragraph into a page. And then you see, and I just go and I start small and I just keep growing it and growing it and growing it until I go, wow, there's 150 pages done. And I think I've, done so. And then I look at the stories for each of those chapters. Like, is there a time where really that impacted me? And that, here's an applicable example of why I'm talking about that in this chapter. And at that point, I'm kind of like done. Now I look through, I do an editing and publishing, and marketing it, and hopefully it helps change the world a little bit.
As we wrap up this second segment, one of the things I wanted to ask you in today's show is, when and how should a person become an entrepreneur?
Wow, that's probably one of the greatest mysteries of the universe, my friend. I really don't know that there's an exact right time. I think it's, when you have that. I mean, like I said, I started over 40. You obviously started sooner. I've seen others start, both older and younger. I think it's really just, when does that calling become greater than you doing what you're supposed to do? At what point are you just, I don't like to use like fed up, but at what point are you just really ready to jump and brave, the terrain?
Love that. Well, we're going to take a break right here. When we come back with David, we're going to do rapid fire questions. We'll be right back. Hey there, friends. It's Mike. And I know how hard it is to turn those dreams and ideas into reality, to see them come alive. You don't know where to start. You don't know what to do. What's the right strategy for you? Well, here at JumbleThink, we've been working really hard for the last year to put together something we call idea camps. Idea camps are these cool events that actually walk you from the idea and into a finished solution. Maybe it's a virtual idea camp, or an idea camp day camp, or maybe it's an idea summit. All of these events are about giving you the resources, the tools, and the hands-on experience to put those ideas to practice and make them real. Well, later this week, we are launching the Idea Camp website. And at the website, you're going to see our first 2 virtual idea camps. One of those idea camps is all about launching your podcast. The other one is all about do-it-yourself website building. These classes will get you from the beginning to an actual finished product. And I'm excited to invite you to be a part of that. Now, if you want to be the first to know about these classes, and if you want to be the first to see the brand new website, all you have to do is head on over to jumblethink.com and sign up for our newsletter. Later this week, we'll be sending out an email with a special link and a discount just for you to sign up for the first idea camps. Now, we're not stopping with just podcasting and website building. We're going to be offering all kinds of crazy classes. We're going to be bringing in some of our friends to teach some classes where they're experts. Maybe it's about writing books. Maybe it's about startup strategy. We're going to be doing some really, really cool virtual idea camps. So don't waste this time while you're in coronavirus lockdown. Let's start getting those dreams and ideas out of your head and into the real world. So head on over to jumblethink.com and sign up for that newsletter so you are in the loop. You're the first to know about idea camps going live. Also, when you go and do that, you're going to get a free guide called The Dreamer's Guide to Micro Experiments. Micro experiments are all about making dreams and ideas easy and attainable to reach. So head on over to jumblethink.com right now and sign up for that newsletter, get the free guide, and be the first to know about idea camps. Now let's jump into rapid fire questions with today's guest, David Lee Jensen.
Levez seulement le bras pour mettre l'aiguille sur le disque. Mettez le contact.
We are back with David Lee Jensen. All right, are you ready for rapid fire questions?
I think so. You got me all worked up about this. I don't know.
They're easy. You're going to do awesome. It is pass and fail, so we'll let you know at the end how you do. Just kidding.
You just made it even worse. I told you, education these days.
As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A policeman.
What is one tip you give someone with a big idea or dream and they don't know where to start?
Write a book.
What is one change you'd like to see in the world?
Coronavirus being gone, or at least the media stop talking about it.
What do you want your legacy to be?
He helped. That's what I want written on my gravestone.
Where do you find inspiration?
From just the world around me, listening to others. My children contribute, my wife contributes, my friends contribute, and those I, respect and admire contribute.
What is one book you think every dreamer should read?
Crush It.
Okay. I've not heard of this one.
Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. That was
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was like, wow. Okay, good. I'm ready to go out and do something about what I really love to do.
It's funny sometimes how like a title doesn't spark it, but when you say his name, I'm like, oh yeah, that book.
Yeah, that was Gary Vaynerchuk's first, launch into entrepreneurship, and I really think is the base foundation of what we're all doing now.
For you, how do you define success?
I got asked this question yesterday and I went off on this whole tangent or what have you, but I really think it just boils down to your level of happiness and your satisfaction with your ability to help others. And, like I said earlier, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, do I feel like I did everything I could today and every day before to accomplish that purpose and that, quote, success?
What is one trend you are currently excited about?
Bitcoin? No, I'm kidding. I did some speaker coaching for a bit of a Instagram celebrity, and literally when we were finalizing what we were going to do, he was like, "Now can I pay you in Bitcoin?" And I was like, I literally thought he was kidding, and he was stone cold serious. And I was like, wow, no. Okay, good. So what is one trend I'm excited about? I think, it's going to be odd because we're on one, but I think podcasting is definitely a trend that I see will get, there's going to be some next level to it. I don't know what it is. And I don't think it's just like adding video. I think there's going to be some other level of podcasting that becomes really, really interactive and really helpful to people. And I'm excited to see where it turns.
I love that. I mean, as a podcaster, I'm a big fan of that trend.
Man. Yeah. I mean, you've done 300 and something episodes and I've done 8. So those are 8 damn good podcasts.
8 good podcasts is better than 300 bad ones. Although ours are good, I think. I hope.
That's right. Yeah, no, yours are terrific.
What is one habit you find helpful in your life?
I take a walk every single morning with my wife. We take a 3-mile walk and we strip off anything that's, negative energy or, thoughts we've been having that we want to get rid of. And then we dive back into productivity and the future create.
Now, I kind of asked this in the beginning. I'm going to circle back to this question, which is, what is one thing you wish you would have known when you first started out?
I think that despite all the failures, the fall downs, the get back ups, that you can make in an entrepreneurship if you just keep persisting. So I wish I had done that, much earlier in life so that I could have accomplished that much more.
If you weren't doing what you're doing today, what do you think you'd be doing?
Coaching basketball.
Nice. And our final rapid fire question is, what is one dream you're still wanting to fulfill in your own life? What is one what? Dream.
Oh boy. I think that, wow. I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I have lots of affirmations and lots of things that I want to create in the future. But I think the biggest dream is just that Create Your Future is a worldwide movement that's helping others.
As we wrap up to today's show, we always like to leave our guests have a final thought. So what is your final thought for all of us today?
I think my final thought would be, don't just sit on the couch binge watching Netflix or, flipping channels through the news. Get up, get something started, begin to create your future, because it does begin with you.
Yeah, love that. David, thank you so much for taking time out to be on the show, to talk about some of the challenges you're facing, but also to give us some real world tips to make the dreams that we have a reality.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Love what you're doing, and keep it up.
Once again, we want to thank today's guest, David Lee Jensen, for taking time out to be on the show. You can find his links in the episode notes wherever you are listening. We also want to thank our friends over at Floxy for sponsoring today's show. Floxy can help you with a monthly subscription to amazing graphic design, website development, and video editing. We love them. We think you'll love them too. And they're going to give you a special deal just as a listener of JumbleThink. So head on over to Floxy, FLOCKSY.com/JumbleThink to check out what they are doing. On tomorrow's episode, our guest is Jason Pfeiffer, the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine, the host of Pessimist Archive, the host of Problem Solvers, and the host of Hush Money, 3 incredible podcasts. He's also the co-author of a book called Mr. Nice Guy with his wife, Jennifer Miller. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. We're going to be talking about journalism. We're going to be talking about coronavirus and how it impacts all of it. We talk about a lot of other cool topics in that episode. It is a show you must check out. So that's coming out tomorrow. Don't miss that. And now for my final thought. I know that right now it's really uncertain. I know of people that are losing their jobs right now. I know of people who are very sick right now. I know for many of you, uncertainty rules the day. The new standard is just not knowing. And I want to encourage you in this time when control is something we're all looking for, something that we can know is safe and secure, that you don't need to focus on the things you can't control. What you need to focus on are the things you can do. Right now is an amazing time to look at the potential for your dreams, for your ideas, for the things swirling inside of your mind. Today, take some time to think about what's working, what isn't working, about the dreams, the ideas, the things that matter to you. Think about them and think about what you could do to potentially lock in a new future, move into a new destiny, into a new unknown that becomes a new life for you. I want you to take some time today to think about what matters to you, the people that matter to you, your friends, your family, your parents, your wife or your husband. I want you to take some time and think about your kids and the communities that you connect with. Spend some time reflecting on how you can be more present in the things that matter today. We don't know what tomorrow's going to look like. We don't know if the government's going to be able to figure out how to pass a third stimulus, or how we're going to be able to get back to work, or how our lives are going to look like from a month from now. What we can know is what it can look like tomorrow, how we can love our friends, how we can love our family, how we can be present in today, how we can take the steps today to be available to the people that need us. I want to encourage you, these things are going to pass. The situation with coronavirus is going to go away, that life will have a new normal, and you get to build a new future. Right now is the time to launch into that, to dream big, to take the ideas and make them into something that's real. Now is the time to step into what is or what could be. So today, take some time to reflect, take some time to dream, take some time to explore the possibilities, and take some time to be present with your family and with the people you love. Now it's your turn. Take some time to dream big, take some steps, and change the world around you.
Vous êtes une autre personne. Les mères de famille, les enfants, peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant. Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.